Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Open Ecrime Market Commentary for the week of February 19th. My name is Toby Gennaro from Trade with Precision, and just coming to you this week with the market outlook. And taking a look at the big cap stocks here on the S&P 500, we're looking at the ES futures contract as we normally do, and looking here at some of the higher time frames, monthly chart, as you can see, we still have another week and a half or so to go on the February candle, but we're right up against. It actually looks like we're up against that 1528, 1530 level, but actually the high there was right around, I believe, 1522. Yeah, so 1522. I was thinking the high back here that we've been looking at is right around 1539. So we've got a little ways to go. Some of these other ones are right around 1532, 1524, 1520. So it looks like we've got a little bit of ways to go here, but I think we'd probably be looking for a little bit of a bigger pullback once we get up around that 1535 level. And so as you can see here on the weekly chart, we're moving steadily consecutive weeks here for the last, probably over 2 months. And we've got a little bit of overextension on from the moving averages here on the weekly chart, but nothing to really be that worried about. What I'm looking at here is just some slight divergence here on the daily chart, and this is usually pretty typical of a really strong trend in the markets. We usually just keep pushing higher, but we had this high put in right back here, and then we had another high put in here at 1522, and we failed to put in a higher high on the MACD and the RSI. So not a major issue, just something to note. We've also got the same thing on the 480, and we've got the same thing on the 240, and I believe it goes all the way down to the 120. So we've got about 3 or 4 charts in alignment there with some strong divergence. Kind of tells me that maybe this trend is weakening a bit, but usually this thing will push higher until we get into some kind of a level. We're pretty close to that level, but I think there might be another 10 points in the market here. If we're looking at trend flow setups, we have another trend flow setup candle right there with the break of that high being right around that 1522 level, and then we should be back up to a fresh high. We have a nice bullish candle here right around the 10-20 period moving average on the daily chart. The high of the candle there is 1520.75, so if we got a break of that high, we'd have a couple of pairings of charts here. If we go into the 240 chart, we have a similar setup candle like this right in the buy zone as well. So we've got a nice trend flow setup on a couple of time frames here. If we can get a break of those highs, it looks like we'll be putting in a new high, and that could potentially get us up to that 1535, 1540 level, where we might expect to see a little bit more of a deeper pullback. As you can see on the daily chart, in the last, over a month, we just haven't had a pullback beyond the 10-period moving average. So I might be looking for a little deeper pullback there, and then allow some of this divergence on the higher time frames to play out, and then we can start to look to get long again. So that's what things are looking like on the ES. And here on the small cap stocks, looking at the Russell contract, we can see that. Remember, we were talking on the monthly chart here about this this flat level setting up. We got 1, 2, 3, 4 touches before we got a break of that. So each one of these being a monthly candle, that took a long time for that flat level set up. So that's going to be a fairly big break. And as you can see, we broke those. We got 2 monthly candles going up. We're currently up over 920. I think we've hit a high there of 921, or actually 925. So continuing to look to push higher. As you can see, the consolidation here, fairly large, goes all the way down to that 600 level. So consolidation there, roughly about 260 points. Even the next higher low there is right around 730. Puts us almost up, about another 130 points. So this thing could have quite a bit of room to run here to the upside. Looking for actually a pullback here at some point as we get some overextension here, a pullback down to this 860 level. And what's going to happen in order for that to do that is we're going to have to see some pretty strong divergence on some of these time frames. We've got a little bit of overextension here on the weekly chart, but as you can see, higher highs, higher lows, week in and week out, and very strong move on the markets here. As you can see on the daily chart, the moving averages are actually catching up to the price. Very bullish sign. The price is just not pulling back even beyond, the 10-period moving average. So the next level there, if we were to get a pullback, we've been getting some little deeper pullbacks here, here, and here. If we were to get another one of those pullbacks, probably put us right around that 912 level. And then we'd find some support there, and more than likely we'd probably get a bounce to the upside off of that. Also, we've got some bullish candles setting up right around the 10 period moving average, and you'll see that also on the 240. And one of the things I'm looking at here, same on the ES contracts, we're looking at some divergence here. As you can see, we got this higher high in place right here, and then we put in pretty much the high for the MACD and the RSI. And as we put in another high up here around that 925 level, we failed to put in a higher high on both the indicators. So a little bit of a slight divergence there. Not worrying too much about that. When we start to see that on some of the other charts, like it's on the 480, you'll see it on the 240, you'll see it on the 120. So we've got that lineup there on about 4 different charts. And so I'm anticipating some kind of a pullback to allow all that divergence to play out, and then we can start getting long again. So 912 might be a decent pullback, but then we can also keep an eye on some of these trend flow setup candles. There's one here on the 480 with a break of the high here at 925.30, which is the most recent high. And keep in mind that these are fresh new highs here that we're setting in right around 925. So we're really in uncharted territory here. There isn't any other resistance levels that are necessarily above this. So in looking at some of these charts, we're looking to stay long this market. We're just looking for the opportune time to get long again and to follow this trend. So I'm looking for a slight pullback. It might be around news. It might be around something related to an event. But looking for a pullback here and a way to get long. If we don't get a pullback, then we'll start looking at the daily chart and watching these moving averages move up into the price. Once they catch up to the price, we've got to start to find a setup somewhere on some of these intermediate time frames, because more than likely the market's going to continue to push higher. And as we look at the ES has got at least a little bit more ways to run into that 1535, 1540 level, which kind of gives us an inkling of the broader market move continues to be higher. So keep an eye out for some flat levels that might be setting up around this 925 level. Keep an eye on some of these trend flow candles that are setting up in the buy zone in and amongst that 10-20 period moving average across some of these time frames, like the daily, the 480, the 240, and the 120 have been giving us some great signals for the last month or two. So keep an eye out for those, and that's the outlook for the Russell contract. And taking a look at one final market here, the Euro-Yen pairing, and looking at the monthly chart, you can see it's about the last 6 months or more been on a real tear here to the upside, and you can see that really that parabolic move on the weekly chart. We've got a little bit of overextension there on the moving averages. Not too much to worry about as we look at the daily chart. You can see just a beautiful arrangement and geometric pattern here on the moving averages. Everything fanning up in the upward direction. The 200, the 50, the 20, the 10 period moving average. It's got a great lineup of small candles there. Consistent buying pressure. Nice controlled pullbacks right into that buy zone. Great setup candles there, and we're just getting another setup candle right here in the buy zone in amongst that 10-20 period moving average. We got a break of the high of that setup candle, and as we move down to the next time frame, the 8-hour time frame, we've got another setup candle right there. We've got a break of the high, so it looks like we're going to be moving higher. Some of the next levels here will be right around 126.9, and then the most recent high up around 127.6. So I'd be looking to get long the euro again at this point, and then take the break of these candles and look to move higher. See if we can put in at least a rally to that 127.6 level, if not putting in another new fresh high. And there's the outlook for the markets for the week. We'd like to thank you all for watching the Open eCry market commentary for the week of February 19th, and we do look forward to speaking to you next week on the Market Update.